It's fine.
I was focused on other things.
It's completely fine. I believe that the most appropriate way to even start this recording, as I will edit it together over the course
Yeah.
of the discussion, is to say, and we're back!
What's up?
And we're back. This is going to be bad because we haven't spoken in such a long time that this could sort of end up just being Bill and Roger catching up and not an actual interview.
No, it could be a lot of different things, but we do text occasionally and we stay in contact and all that. But no, this is the first time we've had a discussion, probably in a good year. I think actually, you've been a busy boy.
Dang right,
absolutely.
But here we are.
Here we are.
We're doing the thing. Bill is totally doing me a solid right now because, yeah, I was kind of in a pinch because. And to make matters worse, I shoot my mouth off every other Wednesday and tell everybody what the next episode is going to be. And all of a sudden, this is going to be like, well, that's not really what happened this time. So we're just going to
let me translate for you listeners at home. What that means is nobody else wanted to do it. So I called Petrie the man of last resort. That's what that meant.
Or what really happened was I made one outreach and I got an automatic yes, which is testament to our friendship. Because
absolutely,
I didn't have to ask anybody else because I asked you and you said yes, and here we are.
And here we are, Roger. Here we are.
And dude, as I was thinking about having you on and scribbling those notes furiously that you saw me send you on literally a receipt.
Hey, those CVS receipts are long for a reason. They're long for Roger Burnett to take notes, to then video and send you what he's going to ask you about. So I want to thank the good people at CVS for doing both Roger and I a solid.
the thermal printer paper people really, really, really like the CVS. They love that account. Whoever has it probably has the lowest margin of any of their transactions because you're getting paid in total quantity of feet, I'm guessing.
That's right. And actually, that's the next target we're going after is the thermal print people. The whole Thermal Print Association better watch out. You're about to be Brandivated.
That could be a promo upfront segment of who you're going to save industry wise. It's not the movie theaters now; it's the thermal paper printer people.
We've got a whole cadre of possibilities for industries we're going to save.
I love it. That's been fun. It's been super fun listening to you guys sort of evolve the thing over the almost 100 episodes that you've done of that particular thing. It's a bananas to me that you're almost to 100 already.
Thank you. It's something, it has to evolve, right? It's a living, breathing thing, just like a website or anything else. And the way Kirby Hassman, who is, really nice enough to do the podcast with me on a weekly basis, we kind of have a theory: if we start getting bored with something, then a lot of other people are as well. And so we try to change it up while remaining faithful to the format of neither one of us prepare for a podcast. We try to remain faithful to that, but while injecting some different things into it and doing the, let's pick a company or an industry in crisis. And what would we do if all of a sudden you're handed the keys to that organization or that industry? What 3 things would you do immediately to affect positive change to try to save it?
And if AMC hasn't been made aware of their save plan from Bill and Kirby, I think someone should send it to us. But that brings up an interesting topic, and we'll kind of open the discussion with, you've opened the door for me, so I'm gonna walk right through and use it as a chance to talk about. So in the content game, there's, I don't want to call it a Bible, but there's been sort of a mutually agreed upon set of criteria that I believe you, I, Kirby, many of those of us who are trying to put out content to keep our brands top of mind with people who might want to consider us as a potential someone to hire, is this evolution towards rounding out our personal brands while still continuing to publish and produce on behalf of the organizations we represent. So here we
Yep.
have Bill Petrie suddenly has brought on, and I'm sure it's been some time in the making, but here we are with Back 40 Smokehouse, which we can talk about the evolution of your brand as
Yeah.
it became Brandivate, and there's all kinds of like vehicles that you've created within the Brandivate sort of umbrella. But now you're plugging in this personal brand piece, and I wanted to like talk to me about how you arrived at that decision.
Yeah, I got a lot of free time on my hands, Roger, is what
Well,
it boils
I don't
down
believe that
to.
for a minute, Bill Petrie. I just
Uh,
don't. I don't believe it at all.
so the truth of the matter is, a lot of people have a man cave. I have I'm blessed with this glorious backyard. I do have neighbors to either side of me, but I have this wonderful open space behind where we live. And I treasure that. It's kind of my escape. It's not, I don't have the man cave. I have the backyard. And I've always called it the back 40. It's an old Texas term for the last 40 acres on a large ranch. And I've just always been fascinated by the term back 40. I think it's kind of funny. And so cooking has always been a passion of mine. And so as I've taught myself through reading books and watching videos and making some horrific barbecue, I've actually become fairly decent at it. And so part of the way I express my love to others, my love language, is by taking care of them and by cooking for them. And that's been my family. It's been my neighbors who benefit from it. And there, people are always saying you should open a restaurant. I am under no illusion I have any sort of ability to open a restaurant, run a restaurant, manage a restaurant, make food good enough that people would want to come to that restaurant. However, it did get me thinking about the brand of a restaurant.
Right.
And much like our mutual friend, Danny Rosen keeps a running list of potential band names. I know you contribute to it. I certainly do. I have a running list in my phone. I've got two of them. One is for bars, names I would, if I ever owned a bar, what I might want to name a bar. And the other is a barbecue restaurant. And so one of the things I love to do is build brands. It's what I've done with everywhere I've worked, whether it was Promo Corner or here Brandivate, whatever. And I said, what if I just built a brand just for grins and giggles? Called it the Back 40 Smokehouse. I developed a logo, and lo and behold, it's become this thing now. And the idea behind it, really, Roger, I didn't want to beat people down in my personal social media feed of weekly meat cooks. I'm like, I don't want to bother people so much with that. So why not create a space where if people want to see that, I want to give them a reason to see it,
Yep.
but they don't have to be beaten down by it. And
Right.
so it's kind of an evolution. I was the pumpkin spice guy for a while, and then I was the Van Halen guy. I kind of like to be the branding guy. So it's kind of one of the reasons I did it, just personally. It just, and you've done the same thing with your van life and what you're doing. And so I think it's just, we're good at what we do and we enjoy what we do. Why not do it personally as well? And it's kind of fun.
Yeah. You don't know it when you're doing it, but
Yeah.
by creating something that's around your personal interest,
Yep.
if we've done anything successfully when it comes to building our brands in the marketplace,
Mhm.
it humanizes us a bit. It
It
gives
does.
people a chance to see, like, all right, what's this cat about when he's not being the purpose driven marketing guy, when he's not
Right.
being the Brandivate guy, you know, what's going on behind the scenes that's fueling those passions
Yeah.
that make it be something that we can tackle? Because for anybody who wants to think that another piece of branding is the right thing to do, oh, it's so much work. But yet, if it's from a place of passion, like
It,
where
it, it
you're
is.
coming from, then
Yeah.
it's really just adding what we're already doing from a capture, communicate, distribute perspective from all of the other things that we're already doing, right? So it's just kind of folding it into the portfolio.
100%. People still buy from people and brands they know, like, and trust. That's not ever really going to change. I don't care what the technology is. I like, know, and trust Amazon, so I have a very committed relationship with Amazon, right? So creating something like the Back 40 Smokehouse is a way to share a piece of myself that I'm comfortable with, that is consumable, that people like. I hear from people, well, hey, can you teach me how to do this or show me how to do that? And I love that. I love doing that. Benefited from that. All of us benefit from people helping us learn things. So it's just been a great thing. It's fun.
Much like the van, you know, it gives me the opportunity to express what it is that we're trying to accomplish
Right.
by adding my wife and where we're going and our family and our journeys. And 60 square feet is not the
Yeah.
easiest place to try to live and work.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. And I want to get into that. So you asked about my brain. You've created this whole van life thing and you've committed to it.
Yeah.
I dabble in it. I've got five outdoor cooking apparati. I've got 5 pieces of cooking equipment outside. That's not a big outlay of cash. You've got a van, you've got like this thing, and you're traveling. I want to know a couple things. Number one, how is it like working in that? Before you even get to that, what led to the decision for you and Melissa to do that? What's it like working there? And who decides where you're going and for how long?
Yeah. Okay. So coming back from a family trip to the Grand Canyon where we went on an 8-day whitewater rafting expedition through the Colorado River in the middle of the Grand Canyon in the middle of July when it was 115 degrees for 4 days straight. We all came away from that changed, and we have been on other trips as a family that are like that. We've gone to Yosemite, we've gone to Pebble Beach in Northern California as a family. We've done a lot of things that are meant to be a replacement for things by creating experiences that we hope would create memories for our kids. We think that's more
Mhm,
important than
mhm.
giving them something that clearly they don't need because it just gets shoved in a corner after 5 seconds anyway.
Sure.
So we were coming back from that. We were on the plane coming home, and I look over, and Melissa is literally on the internet shopping for a Mercedes Sprinter van. Many of the guides that we had encountered during that trip live out of converted vehicles. And it was the hours that we had spent with them uninterrupted, where they could share with us their experience around what it means to live that way,
Mhm.
that gave us the confidence to go for it. We'd already
Yeah.
sort of envisioned that this was going to be something that we would do, but we expected it would be our retirement gig. But Melissa works for a large enterprise organization in a sales role that allows her to work from the road. We own the company here, so my boss pretty much told me it was okay. So we just said, the hell with it. Let's see if there's a way for us to take what we would like to do later
Mhm.
and just accelerate it and see if it's
Yeah.
possible for it to be done today. Okay. So October of 2020, we bought the van. October, almost a year to the date, October 20 of 21, we got it delivered back.
Yeah, you've got the van. I knew it took a while.
It's a yeah, well, there's a whole other story about why that was the case too. But so we've had it since October, and dude, it's been game on since the minute that we got the thing. We no sooner than we got it 2 weeks later, we were off to Raleigh, North Carolina to spend time with the promo mofos as they've become known in for Band Together North Carolina, which I just released the
Yep.
episode that covers Band Together. So I've
I
got
I saw
6
that,
months.
and it was a nice, salt rub in my wound because I couldn't go last year. So it was a lovely, salt in my wound.
Yeah, nothing like inspiring a little FOMO there, right? So
Absolutely.
so we've got months and months and months and months and months of content under our belt now that
Yeah.
we're using what I've learned in my years of podcasting to help weave a new narrative that this time is not audio based. This is video based, which has
Mhm.
forced me to learn and grow and stretch because I was not a video editor prior to us doing the Parktopia project. Most of what I had been doing from a content creation perspective was audio based. It forced me to learn. And I'm super excited about that. But you asked, like, how did we decide where to go, how
Yeah,
long,
and how
who
long? Who's in
chooses?
charge of that?
Yep. And so it's funny how really we have these journals that we've had created, right? And in smart use of promotional marketing, I hope. So in this
Absolutely.
journal from Danique,
Hmm.
what we've said is there's kind of 4 elements to life as we see it. It's
Yep.
play, work, live, and give. And so what we're trying to do is take everything that matters to us, jam it all into this effort. But really, this is about taking the opportunity to use the van to go spend time with people that we care about.
Yeah, I
And
love that. And you touched on something, if I can jump in, you touched on
yeah,
something. I think it's kind of the same reason I do the whole back 40 thing. It's you're talking about creating experiences, right? And I'm a big believer experiences over things. I know you are as well. It's something, I've talked about privately many times. I want to learn. I am constantly hungry to learn. It's why I've learned how to barbecue. And I'm at the point where I'm looking for exotic meats. Like I want to make my own bacon. I've never done any sort of curing and things like that. And I know you're not a meat guy anymore, but you can relate at least I want to learn how to do that. And I know I'm going to make some bad bacon, but I'm okay with that. I want to learn how to smoke cheese. I want to learn how to cold smoke things like that. And so I get the experiencing, and I love that you and Melissa have intentionally done that. And I think it's a tremendous example to set for your kids. And I love the video content you're creating and pushing out there. It's fabulous.
thanks, man. And I'm hoping, obviously, as time goes on, that it will get better. The production value will
Of
improve.
course it will.
We have a drone that we haven't even introduced into this whole equation yet. But
Awesome.
so we've visited all of our children during the course of these 6 months, including my opportunity to meet my brand new baby granddaughter in this
Yep.
most recent trip. So
That's
when we're
fantastic.
constructing what it is that we're going to do and where we're going to go, more often than not, it's centered around who do we want to go see this time?
Yeah.
And how can we build a trip around that visit? And by doing that, for me, especially because like we just did a Route 66 jaunt and I,
That's fun.
nah, I didn't, Melissa loved it. I didn't like it so much. But what we did in the process was we built in a visit to see our oldest and the grandbaby. We built in
Hmm.
time with some of our other industry folks.
Yep. I
We
saw that.
visited a factory on Earth Day and we delivered a cooler to a Homes for Our Troops recipient who's having a new home built for them as a part of our partnership with Patriot through Hirsch Gift.
Hmm.
So it took really all of the elements that are comprised in the front of that journal and bang, mashed them all into what we want life to look like. And if I can give through my content the opportunity for other people who might also be interested in trying to do something like this, but wanting to see like, can it be done? Can
Yep.
we work from the van? And Bill, I got to tell you, from where we are in that experiment perspective, school's a little bit out still because
Yeah.
we have not really secured the best Wi-Fi yet.
I saw
And
you just bought something. You're trying to upgrade it, I
yeah,
believe, kind of direct TV or something like that, I think.
frustrating, super frustrating,
Yeah.
especially when you're moving. You
Oh, yeah.
being stationary is one thing, but you've
Yeah.
got multiple agendas, including needing to be on the move while content
Mhm.
is being created. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I'm
No.
loving the process so far.
Well, you need to get your behind down to Nashville. I will do a vegetarian smoke for you and your bride, and you gotta come down and we can, like, mash up some weird content.
I love it. It's definitely on the docket. So
Sweet.
I, I just want to wrap up this piece of what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
as you started bringing back 40 to life,
Yeah.
did you realize the personal part of the overall brand that you've been able to build, or was that more of a like it doesn't matter? I'm not thinking about it in that context. Like, what thought did you give to that piece of what you were doing?
Like I said, the initial thought was really, I feel like, when I look at my own social media feed, my personal social media things, it's like the same thing all the time, and it's
Right.
gotta it's if it's boring to me, it's gotta be boring to other people, so I wanted to create this place where it could exist if people wanted to see it, but then it did take on an intentional life of its own. Okay, this is an extension of who I am as a person. Everybody who knows me and engages with me on social media knows I call my backyard the back 40. I've done it for years. So I created a space on Facebook for it. And then, well, now I have a space for it. I got to have a logo. So I created a logo for it. Well, if I have a logo, hell, I'm in the branded merchandise industry. I got to have some swag. So now I've got some merch. And so it just is continuing. And so it was intentional that that's a place where it can be its own entity with my voice driving it, just me. It's not for my wife. It's not for my business partner. It's not for my kids. It is for me.
Yep.
And so they may be tagged occasionally, but that is my place and is my happy place. Is my place to kind of experiment too. You know, when we talk about building brands, you know, how do we do it the right way? How we do it the wrong way? It's not like the right and wrong way from a judgment perspective. It's what works and what doesn't.
No, so
So it's a fun,
so very, very true.
yeah, it's a fun playground.
It is a fun playground, and giving yourself a chance to experiment in your own personal sandbox.
Exactly.
Like you don't like if you were Elon Musk, that's kind of your Twitter, right, babe?
Hey, if I was Elon Musk, I'd be charging people right now to use Twitter. Apparently, that's what's going to happen anyway. So,
So Brandivate and Social
yeah.
Good Promotions
Yes, sir.
kind of got started at the same time,
Roughly so. Yes, sir.
within a few months of each other.
Yeah.
We each, if you look at the construct of the leadership team, we have
Hmm.
an old white guy and a younger
Yep.
female.
Yep.
We've each sort of said, hey, younger female,
Yep.
you got a big old part of what's going on here. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
not the Roger show. This is not the Bill show
Nope.
by any stretch of the imagination. So
Mm-mm.
I love how there is these similarities
Yeah.
between what we've created.
Yep.
What's going on over at Brandivate?
You know, it's something you and I have not actually spoken about. So this will be interesting. You know, if you look back at the arc of my personal career, whenever I've been in a position to hire people, I've always intentionally skewed younger. Um, I believe, you know, look, I was young too. Believe it or not, folks, there was a time I was young and I swore I was never going to be out of touch with music. I am horribly out of touch with music. I said, man, I'm never going to say that's the way I liked it back when. I say that all the time now. So, having that younger perspective intentionally there, it really is important. And so, I've always hired younger, skewed younger, and I've always given them the opportunities to ask whatever question you want. And if you think if I need to justify what we're doing as your leader, and I put that in air quotes, if I can't explain it to you, how the hell would anyone outside this organization care?
Right.
And so to me, I've always skewed younger and want to give them the freedom to ask me hard questions. And so I always want, you know, when doing Brandivate, I wanted someone I respect immensely in Kelsey Cunningham, and someone though who would also push me really hard. And I think it's kind of like with you and Kara. I might be out front because I got a big mouth, man. I don't know how to shut up. But what she does behind the scenes is so integral to the success we achieve. I can't even really put it into words. I mean, honestly, she does things I can't do. She does a lot of things I can't do. And they just happen to be a lot of the times behind the scenes. And so, you know, you get to see Brandivate Bill out there, and that's part of, you know, what we do in terms of a lot of the content creation. But she does a lot of those things that people can see. She does Wondering Wednesday, which is one of our pieces of content. And she has a lot of input in the midweek marketing moment and things like that. But she does so much behind the scenes that people can't see. She has a unique perspective. I'm sure Kara has the same thing. She provides that unique perspective that makes things better. And I can't do that. I don't have that. I don't have that. I'm a planner. I'm a grinder. I trudge and push through things. She can very quickly assess something, suggest one slight change, and it's instantly from good to great. I
Mhm.
can't do that. So
Mhm.
having that young perspective and having that perspective of someone, she grew up in the promotional products industry. I didn't. I came here. She worked on the supplier side. I haven't. I've never worked on the supplier side. So she has such unique, rounded perspectives. It gives the overall organization a better perspective. She does things I can't do. And I think I would assume if I could reverse the whip and ask you the same question, I would assume Kara does the same thing at Social Good Promotions or very similar.
If I'm solidly the visionary, which no one's going to dispute that there's someone with a vision in the
Yep.
organization. I mean, what we created was very specific and for a very specific reason that really came from my time at Promo Cares that made me realize, like, oh my God, I can't be the cheerleader. I have to be the tip of the spear to show people how it's supposed to be done.
Mhm.
She's the operator that makes this whole thing run. So
Mhm.
without my vision coupled with her ability to actually make the orders get created and out the door and to the people, we just
Yeah.
aren't who we are.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I couldn't run the business absent Kara's participation, but it's anytime you have a partner of any sort, whether it's a 1099 employee, whether it's somebody who works for you as a W-2, or if it's just someone from outside the organization from which you have a relationship, there's one thing to
Yeah.
have someone that you've selected that can do a task for you. It's something completely different to have someone who cares the same way you care
Yeah.
put the same kind of energy and effort into that task that you would do it yourself. That lends to things coming back where you don't just go, okay, yeah, that was done. It's like, oh my God, look how amazing this is.
Yeah.
And how powerful that creation becomes when I can go take it to the street.
Mhm.
So I would be a little bit more of a hamster on the wheel, I think. And I don't think that we would have grown as fast as we've grown
Right.
had it not been for her being willing to firmly hold both of my dreamer feet to the ground and say, where
Right.
are the orders? Where is the pipeline?
Yeah.
Where are all of the things that are going to be necessary for us to be able to grow the revenue line sufficiently well for you to see your vision come to life in the way that you want it to, Roger? Get your ass
Right.
out there and go do the work. Right.
Right.
So I'm so thankful and grateful to have had the
Yeah.
opportunity to have her in my life for her to sense what it was that I wanted to do
Mm.
and for her to go, "Hey, I want to help you make that be a thing."
Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better partner than Kelsey, and quite frankly, she takes on a lot of both roles. She has ideas and we execute those, and I have ideas and we execute those. And sometimes I have to hold her feet down, sometimes she has to hold my feet down. So it really is kind of for us, it's a little different because we're both in that visionary role from time to time, and we're also both in that, hey, we just got to get shit done
Right.
time too.
Yeah, yeah. And Kara is the like if I were to get her a t-shirt, it would be the queen of get shit done. Like
Hmm.
I just her output, her ability to produce in an efficient manner is something I am routinely and completely in awe of. So
Awesome.
here you are, year cycle. We're calling this cycle 4. It's year 3, but it's kind of cycle 4 for us.
Okay.
So I too would have these, but I'm interested. Like, give me a couple. Like, man, I'm so proud of what we've done, and then give me a couple. Like, ooh, that was a learning moment. Like, what have been some of the high points and low points along the way?
High point, obviously the easy one that everybody saw, I think, when we launched was the influencer campaign we did. Kind of intentionally done, but the results were not expected because it just blew up in a great way for us. So that's the easy one. I don't want to talk about that. I've talked about that a million times. I think building our brand voice, we've been really intentional about that. And I'm very proud of when people think of Brandivate, there's a lot of aspects that go into that, whether it's my blog or Kelsey's Wondering Wednesday or the Brandivate beverage of the week or the promo upfront podcast that I do with Kirby or the midweek marketing moment, which we just launched a few weeks ago. Very intentional about mixing a kind of creating, a lot of brand voices are very flat. They're very one dimensional. And we intentionally tried to create a almost like a living, breathing entity. So sometimes it's music, and sometimes it's, we have very different tastes. Sometimes it's about having a cocktail at the end of the week. Sometimes it's about, hey, here's a hardcore marketing thing you need to look at, potential customer or just anybody who's listening. And sometimes it's a little bit of entertainment on the podcast. So it's a rounded thing, and I'm really proud of that voice. I think we have a unique voice in the industry. People tell us that, so I don't say that because I think so, but people tell us that. Even our random social posts are cheeky and have that, warped sense of humor that Kelsey and I share, because that's just who we are. So I'm very proud of that. I'm also very proud of what we just recently did, which was reformat our website. One of the biggest challenges I think I know we've had, is, okay, I've heard about you guys, but what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have products to sell people. I don't have tangible things. That's not something Brandivate does. We don't do that. But we took a leap and said, we need to redo the website. It's elegant and that's fine, but it's not driving customers right now. So we took a very bold move, and it started by building a page, the 2 pages, one that says hire us and one that says don't hire us.
Mm-hmm.
And it sits there right on our website. So the hire us webpage, it is kind of an overall what we do. And we actually took the bold step of listing products. So we have strategic services and we have creative services. Strategic services, we can monetize. We know how much that costs to sponsor that podcast. So we're going to put the pricing right there where everybody can see it.
Yep.
Nobody does that. So, but we also did it for things like, you want a marketing plan? Boom. That's what it's going to cost you. And this, and this. And then on the creative side, well, I don't know what they're going to cost. We have no clue. We need to have some discussion with you to understand what that costs. That was number one. And then we put a whole, don't hire us. If you're not willing to dig in and do the work, if you're not willing to challenge your own way of thinking, if you're not willing to open your mind up that there might be a different way to accomplish these things, we're not for you. We're 100% not for you. And that's cool. Go somewhere else and do something else. So I think those are the 2 things I'm really most proud of when I think of it. When I think of things I'm not proud of, I don't know if it's not proud of, but learning opportunities.
Sure.
I think it's having to balance marketing Brandivate while expelling so much creative energy marketing our clients. Sometimes that gets lost. There's only so much creative energy in a day, right? I used to use this analogy because I've been out of work. You've been out of work. And my mind tells me I need to sit at the computer for 8 hours all day long to look for a job. When the truth is, it's probably about a 45-minute long activity. And beyond that, you're just, okay, I'll go to ESPN here. I'm going to look at that there. Okay, maybe there's a new job posted. I mean, it's just not reality that someone can look for a job 8 hours a day. It's not also not reality that there's enough creativity to go around, and then bouncing around between different clients who have different brand voices and getting your head in that space and then trying to bounce out and to do it for Brandivate. That's very difficult. So what we've instituted, we have Brandivate days once every couple of weeks where that's all we're doing today is we are focusing on Brandivate. What does that mean? How do we get our message out there for our own marketing? I think the other one is kind of what I said earlier, getting pricing right. I mean, a lot of what we do is time based. And so it has everything to do with efficiency and communication, time. So we've learned some hard lessons where we provide a digital, we would call an asset to someone. How many revisions before we start charging them? Right. And how long does this take? What is it expectation from a partnership perspective where we would get feedback on something we deliver to a client so we have time to make those revisions so we're not running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So I think learning how to price properly has been a challenge. And so, again, you don't have something concrete. So you kind of calculate, someone comes to you with a project, I guess that'll take about 10 hours. And okay, sounds good. And then you just hope and pray you're right. Don't know until you know.
The analogy I'll use here is we're going shopping for a new construction home.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the subdivision, we go to the model homes.
Yeah.
And we envision ourselves like, all right, like I could maybe see myself living here. Or you go into the other one, not for me.
Right.
by creating things that people can walk into from a model perspective, what you're doing
Yep.
is you're giving somebody a chance to see themselves in your house.
Exactly. And that was the
And
thought
that
behind
is
the
so
pricing.
important in a
Mhm.
consulting kind of job, because
Yep.
if you leave it up to their imagination, there are so many people who will never be able to conceive what that house would look like, that they'll
100%.
just drive down the street and buy a house that's already exists. And
Right.
that's
Well,
the problem, right?
I knew we were falling into a problem. Kelsey knew it. We both knew we were falling into this trap of people think we're maybe more expensive than we are. We're pricing ourselves out of the market without even having a conversation. I have
Right.
no problem charging the prices we charge. Neither one of us do, because there's value in what we do, and that value needs to be compensated properly. But to not even get ourselves in the conversation was short-sighted.
Yeah.
And so again, it was a bold move. When we were looking at reformatting the website, of course, we went to a lot of different digital marketing websites outside of our industry. Not a one of them had pricing.
Right.
Not a one of them. Like, well, let's try this. And I got to tell you, it's been good for us. It's sparked conversation, and that's important. Again, that's part of our marketing.
To me, if I'm standing it, so this happens on calls. The thing I'm always looking for is that when the client goes, "That's great, but,"
Mm-hmm.
because the but means they're already envisioning this,
Yep.
and now they're envisioning it in their own terms, which means
Mhm.
they're bringing us along for the discussion, which is exactly what we want.
Right.
And for many people, it's like, no, the spec home is cool, and I like
Yeah.
that. And down the road, after I've lived here for a while, maybe I get some more money, maybe I make some remodeling, maybe I do some
Mhm.
remodeling.
Yeah.
Or I walk in the house and go, I already have cash in my pocket. What if we move the fireplace over here?
Right.
What if we put an island in the middle of the kitchen instead of having an L? I have the money to do it. Would you be happy to build that for me, Bill Petrie? And the answer, of
Yep.
course, is unequivocally yes, right?
The lesson I learned 1,000 years ago when I worked at Halo Branded Solutions, it was at the genesis of company stores. And the thought was they were going to have 3 levels of company stores: a brand mart, a brand store, and a brand mall. And not one client bought them, because I would like the brand store, but I don't need those 2 things. But can I have some of that? So everything became a custom
Yeah.
solve. And Halo allowed that to happen back in the day. With the way we have our prices structured on the strategic side, that's the price. If you want something else, that's fine. But that's going to be a different conversation. But if you want just that, that is the price.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
And those prices may go up. I don't know. Whoever has access to the website knows.
Well, from a distributor perspective, I think what we're saying is not unlike if I'm going to bill for my creative services
Yep.
to help build a campaign that maybe has merch attached to it, then I should be able to, even if somehow I'm going to wrap that into the cost of the unit,
Mm-hmm.
the people need to know that the creative is part of what goes into the cost of what's going on. And
Right.
if we're not letting them know that that's the case, then that's the problem we create for ourselves.
100%. And if people are squeamish on the distributor side, and I understand why they are, saying, I don't want to charge for creative services because now they're not going to buy from me. There's a very easy way to around that, in my opinion. Of course, I think you should charge for creative services. Figure out what your hourly rate is and charge that. I really do believe that. But you can also build value. When people don't see something, they can't perceive value. And so you can always put a line item on your invoice of 4 hours of creative time at $100 an hour or $250 an hour, whatever the number is, and then zero it out.
Yep.
So at least people can see, okay, okay, I see what that costs. When back in the day, when customer websites for company stores were very big, and people were trying to give them away. Remember distributors giving those away for free? Never would do that. We would give a detailed invoice to people with every single thing we did. The end number would be zero, but then they all of a sudden started respecting the time that went into building those things, and the number of revisions went way down. The number of requests for special things went way down. So
Yeah.
if you're not going to charge for your creative services, and that's fine, put it on the invoice, point it out to your client. Hey, I just want to I want you to understand we're providing creative services. We're not going to charge you for those, but there's value to them. They need to
Yep.
understand that.
Yep. If you need a chance to see it, call us. I got an
Yeah,
invoice example I can show you.
there you
We do
go.
it all the time. You even go so far on the podcast to say, I could charge for this, but it's free because somebody else paid to make sure that you get to have this for free.
Exactly.
And I think that's brilliant. That's super
Yes, sir.
smart. It also then establishes a value on the part of the sponsor
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, I get that now the person who's listening should have increased perception of my brand by virtue of the fact that I paid for you to be able to listen to that for free.
I say it occasionally, like you said, platinum content like this wouldn't be available without the good support of our pals over at Brand X or whatever it may be that week. Absolutely. And it's true.
It's been awesome. It's a living example of what we just described, that people can go back and hear you say it time and time and time
Yep.
and time again as an example of what we're talking about. All right. So
You bet.
I'm in the entrepreneur organization as of 2022. The
Yeah.
entrepreneur organization accelerator's job is to take businesses that are more than $250,000 in revenue, but not yet $1 million, and help them get there. It's been exciting. There's a lot about it that's fueling our growth and helping us achieve the trajectory that we're trying to accomplish in our quest for $1 million this year.
That's
And
awesome.
there are 4 in-person education full day sessions that you have to go and unplug yourself from your business and spend time in. So on People Day, they brought in a speaker that has helped exit over $500 million in businesses, and he is the same age as you and I, Bill Petrie.
Wow. That's awesome.
So as we're listening
Goals.
to this
Goals.
amazing success that this gentleman, as the same age as you and I, was able to accommodate in the course of his illustrious career, he asked but one question of all of us,
Yep.
of which I'm going to ask the same question of you, Bill Petrie. He
Oh,
said, what's your
boy.
end game? What's your end game? And what he meant was,
Yeah.
at this stage of your career, if you don't know when it's over and what that's supposed to look like, then you will make decisions that don't feed what it
Right.
is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So that really helped me understand that I needed to figure out what my end game was, which I now have done, and it is uber articulated. Bill
Yeah.
Petrie, where do you come out on your end game?
When in transparency, you sent me these questions. That's the one I was like, ooh, okay. I need to really think on that one.
Yeah.
And so I have notes here I'm going to kind of glance at.
Okay.
It's very tough because when we started Brandivate, the immediate goal was to build something that mattered. What does that mean? Advertising in the promotional product space has been, and I'm being kind here, inelegant. It has been product based. It is 5 or 6 products on a virtual 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with 0.06 font and weird pricing codes that has absolutely nothing to do with the purpose behind the product. And so we really wanted to change that, help suppliers sell product, because that's what they do, but help distributors like yourself sell purpose, where they are maybe a little having difficulty doing that and telling their story. At the time, I don't think Brandivate was built for a specific end game other than obviously to employ the people that work here. I think as we look at what the end game is, we do have scalability plans. We do have goals in terms of revenue and profitability. That's not to say if someone had a check with a lot of zeros on it, I wouldn't be more than happy to go work with someone again. That's not to say that at all. But I don't have that specific, other than numbers where Kelsey and I want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this specific end game. Like, I want to sell the company for X and work for Y, which I think is probably more pertinent to your would be a more pertinent answer to your question. So I'll be very candid with you. It's something I'm going to give a ton of thought on, because I think, like you and like most entrepreneurs. You and I joke that we've been accidental entrepreneurs, we've been intentional entrepreneurs. I think we spend so much time scrambling from one task to another to make sure all the little holes in the dam are plugged. Meanwhile, trying to grow and scale the business, trying to make sure everything's paid on time, make sure you're paid on time, all these things. There's precious little time to really think, okay, what do I want this to be? And I need, along with Kelsey, we need to spend some time on that. So I know that's really a non-answer to your question, but it's
That's
an honest
okay.
one.
That's
An
okay.
honest one.
And there's
Mm.
so our good friend Jonathan Irvin
Mhm.
in our collective entrepreneurial journey said something to both Melissa and I relatively early on in this process that has grown in meaning to me over the
Mhm.
years since he said it.
Yeah.
He told Melissa when we were trying to make the decision about unplugging from a regular paycheck and becoming a straight entrepreneur,
Yeah.
the journey is the destination, Melissa.
Yeah.
And
And I think
so,
that's a lot of I think there's a lot of truth in that.
okay, so it's okay to admit that I have a car and I'm here
Yeah.
for the drive because I want to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
What that exercise that gentleman put us through gave me the opportunity to recognize was I kind of know where I want the car to go.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm in a place where I've driven this thing for a little while,
Mhm.
I've gotten a better understanding of when we get to whatever I want as a finish line, I know what I want that to look like.
Right.
And by being able to communicate that to not only Kira, not and Melissa, but our suppliers, our
Mhm.
prospective employees, our potential
Right.
clients, I can paint a different picture about what the future might look like because I know what the end game
Mhm.
is now in a way that prior to that discussion,
Yeah.
maybe in much the same way as when you get this video today with these questions on this receipt,
Yeah.
you say to yourself, like, well, shit,
Yeah.
let
So
me spend some time thinking about that for a minute because maybe it does mean something.
and I did. I mean, and there are things, I don't know where the actual end destination is. I'm in the car, Kelsey and I are in the car and we're driving. I know I think we know there's certain points along the trip we want to go. One is, create meaningful partnerships with entities. Getting to a point where you get to choose the clients you work with, and we're there pretty much now. You get to choose the clients you work with and say no to the one you don't, because
Right.
not every client's for you, even if they think they are. And so, but it's definitely a really important exercise. It's something Kelsey and I are going to discuss because honestly, that's the one. And I generally don't prepare for podcasts, but you asked some thoughtful questions that made my balding head think this morning, as I really regretted immediately saying yes to doing this podcast last night. But it's a great exercise, and I think, you know, I'm a doer. I'm also a dreamer. I sometimes think my business card should say full time dreamer on it, but I'm also a doer. I'm a grinder. I hustle. There's no one will ever outwork me. There's plenty of people who are smarter than I am, more creative than I am, more intelligent than I am, more eloquent than I am, but no one's ever going to outwork me. And so sometimes that bites you. That cuts
Mm,
both ways.
yeah. Yep. It does.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to 48 minutes. We're going to say,
Wow.
so concludes the audio portion.
Okay.
And now we're going
Bonus
to go.
video content.
Now we're going to go into the bonus video content section
All right.
because I hope we could have kept people's attention for that long, and we'll see. We'll see
We'll
how this
see.
goes. I
Make it a
think
part 1 and 2.
maybe so, and we're talking about things that maybe most people don't get to hear about
Yeah.
from you and me.
Oh yeah. No, I love it.
So I'm hoping that there's been some interest there. But yesterday was kind of a momentous day in my participation in the Promo Cares movement.
Yep. You told me. Yep. I want to hear about that. Go.
We had what we called a Promo Cares conversation, and we invited leaders from two of what many would consider to be the organizations that are helping to either craft the future of our industry or serve as its
Mhm.
primary broadcast channel of what's going on within the industry. And then we brought in probably the single largest philanthropic member of our industry from a pure ability to move money from our industry to places that need it in Jonathan Isaacson from Gemline,
Yep.
to have a conversation about a fundraiser that we ran through Promo Cares that was meant for humanitarian aid to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan was very instrumental in helping us be able to vet a charity, come up with something that we could confidently defend as good stewardship of the funds that we might raise. And then we did what we always do at Promo Cares. We create FOMO through the use of branded merchandise, and we raised $55,000 for Save the
Yeah.
Children as a result of that process. And this
Pause.
conversation that we
Pause
had
for
was
us.
so
Pause for us.
awesome.
Pause for a second. I want people to really think about that for a minute. $55,000 in an extremely compressed time period.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So, I, what you guys have done at Promo Cares warms my Billy heart to no end. I love that. I love what you've done. So let's not rush through this for a moment. Take a moment, and I want people to think about that $55,000, and you were able to aggregate and get people to partner together that are sometimes competitors, right? Compassion over competition, I
Yeah.
believe is what's been said.
Yep.
And I absolutely love it. And you talk about these accidental things that happen, right? We talk about, like, when Brandivate launched, for example, we wanted to do influencer marketing, and then it really blew up into this. Wow, you guys were intentional, same thing. I don't think anybody thought it was going to get that much money that quickly. It really became this. It starts taking on a life of its own, and that's a huge credit to you and everybody within Promo Cares. I mean, I'll mention them. What Carrie Cowden, Mandy Rudd, David Schultz, Meg Erber, Denise Tashro, you. Who am I missing?
Danny and Scott Pearson.
Danny and Scott. So just amazing. So this is not to pat you on the back, but my goodness, take a minute and really realize the impact in a positive way you guys have had. That's tremendous to me.
I may have shed a tear yesterday, legitimately. And you, as a member of the group that got this thing going,
Yep.
I can recall you and I having a pointed conversation where you said to me, "What is it?"
Yeah.
And much like what you're talking about with the Brandivate brand, it took a minute for us to figure out what this was going to be. And you will recall me saying to you back then, it will be what the group decides it will be.
I do recall that conversation.
And it was never meant to be something different than that. And what I'm so proud of, setting aside the money, because that is a byproduct of the fact that talented, passionate, caring people have brought their time, talent, and treasure to the board of organization in ways that I could have never imagined. And I'm just excited for the possibilities of what might happen going forward, because the more people gravitate towards the success we've been able to achieve, the better the work product is going to become from the group. And I'm just the guy who made sure that the content got produced every couple of weeks that led to a book, that led to me being able to give a presentation that ultimately got other people inspired to want to participate. So for me and for Danny, like we spent a lot of time just kind of sitting back and marveling at what's occurred.
Yeah.
Because the way I used to try to present this analogy was, Promo Cares to me is like music. And you've got to learn the music. And once you've learned music, then it's just up to you to express it in the way that is a representation of who you are.
Yeah.
And because this group is so talented and so inspiring, I completely get goosebumps all the time listening and watching what Mandy and Meg and the group have been able to put together, to the point where, and this is why I'm making a short story long, Bill, is this time around, people in the industry approached us and said, there's pent up desire to do something. And what Dale said in yesterday's presentation, that really was the thing that brought a tear to my eye, is he said, You've established yourselves as a trustworthy partner for the industry.
Yep.
And as a result, people rally to what you do because you've shown that it's from the heart. It's not insincere. It's truly a representation of the pillars that the organization has articulated as being what we're all about. And that, to me, to know that Dale in his position from his perch at the top of PPAI is pointing at us and saying, you're part of the way forward for our industry, man.
Yeah. And it should. I mean, I look back on my time as, I guess, a founding member of Promo Cares, but I left after a year. I just pulled in too many different directions. What you guys have done with it is beyond any comprehension I would have had, any vision I would have had. I am beyond proud to know all of you. And I guess what you done, it's not a cheerleading thing right now or pat on the back, but what you guys have done, again, you've built a brand of trust. You've built a place where people feel, okay, if I want to do something good, that's probably the group I need to go to and see if they can help. And people don't see, I wrote a blog earlier this week about overnight success, right? I think there's a lot of people that suddenly think, oh, well, Promo Cares, never heard of them, really. Well, maybe heard about that Sleep In for Good thing or other things. Now they're everywhere, right? That's what people look at as an overnight success. People don't see all the, and there were fits and starts, not in a bad way. Everything was always well-intentioned. Everyone wanted to do good, but how do you do good? I mean, think about promo standards and trying to get everybody on the same page there. It's, what people define as charitable and philanthropic and good are very different across the board. So trying to coalesce that into a united vision was an incredibly difficult thing to do. And you were able to get the right people on the board, get the right people involved, and help set that tone. I think that's something you should be proud of.
Maybe it's got to be part of the eulogy, at least when the time comes.
It's got to be part of the eulogy.
It's got to be part of it. So if I were to grant you this opportunity as an advisory board member to speak to the organization, where might you challenge us? Where would you want us to be thinking about for the what's next for us?
Oh my goodness, Roger. It's like one of those moments where it's like, when people say, well, what do you think? You always have those moments. It's like, man, I'd love to say, you want to know what I think? Let me tell you exactly what I think. No, I actually thought about this. I see the voice building. I've seen what you guys have done. I think now is the time to take, I am going to look at my notes here, is kind of take a next step where at times it's more purposeful and more structured so people can start expecting it and you can start building causes. And what I came up with was I would find two causes every year. One that's continually static. It's every year you do the same thing, whether it's PPEF, American Red Cross, American Heart Association, doesn't matter. It's one thing that Promo Care stands for every year, and there's a campaign for that every year. Your second annual campaign would rotate. It might be something just that's critical to one of the board members, or there's a need in the industry that you guys see. But doing that, you'd leave room for these kind of on the spot, hey, there's a crisis in the world right now, and we have the ability to react. I think where organizations like Promo Kitchen, which you and I have been a part of, I'm back in Promo Kitchen, I'm back on the board, where Promo Kitchen, Promo Cares is at its best, is challenging others and creating a framework where people can get involved.
Yep.
And so I would love for you guys to have a little more structure. So it's, I like, for example, the Sleep In for Good campaign. That's a perfect example of something I think you could do annually with a different type of not-for-profit, where you tie in the branded merchandise, you allow suppliers an outlet, because so many suppliers are looking for an outlet to do good. They don't know what to do, though. They need someone to tell them. You guys need to tell them. I think you guys need to, instead of I don't think you are this way, so please take this in the spirit in which it's intended, but saying, we're the board here. We're going to decide what Promo Cares is representing this year. Very similar to what Band Together has done in Raleigh for their the main event every year, the big event.
Yeah.
They will pick a cause. I think doing that and then articulating that into the industry, that's how you start building your volunteers. Let's say it's the American Heart Association, for example. How do you would have people who, that's a cause that's passionate to them. Maybe it's for Down syndrome. Maybe it's whatever it might be. That's how you create that volunteer umbrella that creates this ecosystem of caring. So I really think more proactivity. And what I've seen is just amazing. So there's zero criticism from me. I mean, zero.
No.
But you asked my opinion, I'm giving it.
No, and what you did is you actually just validated what our intentions are.
Good.
And what you'll see from us next was what we intended to be the follow-up for Sleep In for Good. A crisis came. We had to rally. So you saw us do something in the interim now that doesn't supersede what we intend to do in the future.
Right.
Just validates the model as being capable of really, really supercharging the effort when it's done under some structure with people who understand their roles and responsibilities within the overall framework of what we're trying to accomplish, with a timeline that is not so condensed that we can't be effective. Right. And so I believe now 15,000 for Sleep In for Good begat 55,000 for Ukraine for Good. The as not yet announced next thing does have a volunteer component, does include a crowdsourced element, and has a tremendous amount of structure that would allow people who want to get involved to get their hands in it. And I can't wait to share it now, because you basically just were like, well, if you were going to do it according to Bill, we would do it this way. And it's like, well, hot damn, we got the recipe right, because that's what we're going to try to accomplish.
I think that's amazing. And I can't wait to hear about it. The one thing I would really strongly suggest you guys to guard against is saying yes to everything. That's why I think you got to have some structure. We're going to do two main things a year. One is constant, one is floating. And then we have one floating thing to do a year too. Because again, you and I have been in organizations. You and I have both been in on Promo Kitchen. You and I have both been on our regional boards. We've been president of the RAC board. We've been involved in every committees, and it's very easy for people to burn out, even because we care, because we want to give back. And so you got to guard against that. That's why sometimes you're just gonna have to say, I'm sorry. And it's a capacity issue. It's not because your cause doesn't matter. It's because there's no capacity.
Okay. Well, more to come on that. And now,
I can't wait.
Yeah, no, well, now I step out the side door and don't let you ask me any questions.
Too bad. So sad. I've got a couple for you. So the first one I have is and it's a great segue. As you become far more entrenched professionally with philanthropic causes, right? Your company name is Social Good Promotions, and I know your mission is to do good while providing quality promotional merchandise. It's a very difficult tightrope to walk. I want to know how that professional shift has translated personally to you in how you conduct your life. How much bleed over has there been in terms of what Roger Burnett, the human being, stands for today, as opposed to the Roger Burnett of 10 years ago?
It's kind of like when you're married for a really long time, or a coworker sees you every single day and you go through a metamorphosis. The person who is closest to you often can't realize your metamorphosis because they've been with you the entire time.
100%.
So what's interesting to me is when I run into people who I haven't encountered much since 10 years ago. And what I've been told in that transformation is I'm a far more confident individual than I was 10 years ago. And it's largely to do with when I wasn't exactly sure what my lane was. I spent a lot of time driving around trying to figure out where I might fit.
Sure.
And maybe I was let down in instances where I didn't really find the tribe that I was hoping for in that journey. It gets to the point where you sort of get a little bit discouraged, like, well, where am I meant to be?
Mhm.
Right. And to your point, like volunteer service and,
Yeah.
all of the different things that we've done have been attempts for me to try to find that tribe. And once I got to the place where it was like, oh no, like this is starting to make sense to me, I stopped being blown around by the wind and I became the rudder
Yeah.
of where I was trying to get. And what it's done, I think that transformation has made people more interested in paying attention to what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And right, wrong, or indifferent, whether whether I have a large following or a small following, there are people who pay attention to what it is I have to say because over the arc of the time, I've been willing to be open about what was happening the entire time that was going on.
Mhm.
And I'm not standing here saying I know more or I know better or I'm an expert in any way, shape, or form. What I'm willing to now say is here's my perspective from where I'm at. And I will go on a Homes for Our Troops Patriot mission because that's who I am. That's what I would
Yeah.
do. And I don't have to think about it twice. Sometimes I'll be approached about things that it's just like, oh my God, that is not us at all. That is not me
Mhm.
at all.
Yeah.
I would cause more trouble in the minds of the people that are following what I'm doing if I said yes to that, than even if it was a great idea. If
Right.
it's not where I'm trying to go, then I don't care how smart of an idea it was. We need to find somebody else to do that.
Mm.
And let me find somebody to do it from the community that would be more excited and more capable because I'm surrounded by a community of people that I feel like if I came to someone in much the same way as I came to you to do this podcast and said, would you? People have a way of saying yes these days. And I think it's because I've put in the work over the course of those 10 years to make that be a thing.
Great answer. We joke about age and all that, but age does giveth, and the things it gives is the confidence you spoke about. I'm far more confident today than I was 10 years ago when I was a rudderless ship in this industry. As I wrote in my blog, I was a jag, just a guy in the industry. Um, but the other thing that age gives you, and something you kind of touched on, is this back pocket of fu. I just don't care what people think of me like I used to, and that's a good thing. I think what that does, and what I'm hearing from you, it frees you up to be the person you always wanted to be,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I referenced earlier, we've both been accidental and purposeful entrepreneurs. Someone wants to start a business in this weird, crazy industry today. What advice do you give them?
uh, find one thing with a lot of inventory and just sell that one thing all day, every day. That's it.
Okay.
Period. Right? Here's the thing. So when I go out and I pitch, people expect that, well, you're going to be different than all of the other Bobs and
Mhm,
Susies and promotional products distributors that walk in the door. And the truth of the matter is that's not the case at all.
mhm,
There's only one real subtle difference between
mhm,
those people and me, and it's what I'm going to pick for you when you tell me all of the criteria that
mhm,
you've come up with to be the problem that you're presenting to me. And unlike my competitors who will bring you a set of ideas, when the person who receives those ideas gets them, typically the answer is, well, I'm not, this is going to have to be cheaper, or, they're dictating the terms of the transaction. That does not happen here.
mhm.
It doesn't, because if you don't want to buy what I told you to buy, then go do it from somebody else,
Yeah.
because I'm not playing that game with you. I don't have
Right.
time.
Right.
I got to go find the person that says, yes,
Yep.
100%. That's what I want to do. And what I'm hoping is, by virtue of what I'm creating from a content perspective,
Mhm.
by the time we get to product selection, I'm hoping you will say to me, "Oh, Roger, let's do some of that Patriot stuff. Help me figure out which of the things from their line is going to be the thing that we're going to pick
Right.
because I'm in love with that story and I want it to be a part of my brand too."
Right.
So I've got this amount of money, all of the other things, it's whatever date and how many pieces, whatever. But Bill, the difference now and what I'm most gratified by is by the time we get to product selection, most of the time these days, the client says to me, just tell me what to buy.
No, and I love that. I love that. And that's a great place to be and a hard place to get to. I wrote down a couple things I wouldn't mind sharing if you would allow me,
Sure.
since people are still listening. Seek to elevate always. And I don't think people in our industry do that enough. We still have this beaten down or the afterthought of marketing syndrome. And I think we need to get out of that and get out of that quickly. Don't settle for good enough. Your competition will do that.
Yeah.
Trust me. They will settle for good enough for you. But I'm going to push back a little bit on what you said, because I think, well, not really. I think I'm just going to say it in a different way.
Okay.
It's don't be scared to be different. What is exasperating about this industry is also the greatest opportunity in this industry. Everybody sells the same stuff from the same supply, especially on the distributor side. Everybody sells the same stuff from the same suppliers at about the same price. It's all going to get decorated properly. It's all going to get delivered on time, assuming there's inventory. And you as a distributor are going to invoice it correctly and timely. That all's the big stuff that generally is going to happen no matter who client X buys from. Because everybody's buying the same things from the same people, you have a great opportunity to paint your own picture, to tell the story you want to tell, and help people elevate the merchandise. One of the things, and we both have learned at the altar of one Reverend Bobby Lehue, suppliers sell product, distributors sell purpose. And I really think if you're a distributor, you have to focus on selling what is the point of the merchandise, not necessarily how will it be used. That's right there. We all get how a copper mug is, or a stainless steel mug is used. Exactly. What about the abstract of it? What does it mean to someone? It's not this isn't a coffee cup, right? Or a drink. This is my friend. I hang out with this guy every day and I get to see my great Whataburger ad right there every day. That's what this means. This is like, I would be crushed if this was broken or gone.
Yes.
This has actual meaning to me. Yes. And when you can convey that to a client and use their messaging and help them craft that messaging to move their audience to action, that's a very special thing that 95% of supplier or distributors can't even fathom doing.
The banner on the Social Good Promotions YouTube channel says, keeping brands out of the trash since 2019.
Yep. Love it.
And for me, what my time at Promo Cares has taught me is when we do it wrong, it goes straight in the garbage.
Yep.
And I can't live with that. I just can't. It makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up when I think that somebody would sell that, somebody would buy it, they would give it out to somebody knowing full well that the damn thing is going to go straight in the effing garbage. I can't flipping stand that, Bill Petrie.
I think this. Back in my distributor days, I used to go to large clients and to kind of break the ice, right? You have those weird meetings in conference rooms and there's someone in there you didn't know who's going to be in there, and it's just weird and awkward. I'd always say, hey, before we get started, where's your closet? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, where's your closet of shame? Where's all the crappy promo that you bought that you never gave away? Where do you store it? You stored? I'd love to see it. And they'd all laugh because every organization has a closet of shame.
Yep.
That they hide the promo in. So I love that approach. I got one more question for both.
Wait.
So
the hashtag.
Yes.
Distributors, babe, no shitty promo.
Babe, no shitty promo.
No shitty promo. We don't do shitty promo.
No.
And if you can just adopt that as an internal mantra, like it will help you so much in what happens in your interaction with your clients, because like that feels like that's going to be shitty.
Absolutely. It's the same thing. Very similar to I said, don't settle for good enough. Your competitors will do that.
Right.
There are order takers out there that are happy to say, oh, that's terrible, but okay. Care enough to push back.
You got it.
All right. Last question. Can I get one more in?
Yep.
Little one. All right.
Do it.
You and I are huge advocates for being a mentor, for mentorship. You and I have been mentored. We have been mentors. Promo Kitchen has really cornered the market in such a good way on the mentorship program in the promotional products industry. They do such a great job in terms of every aspect of it, getting people involved, hooking people up and connecting them in making a program out of it. They're doing a great job. However, I don't think people really think enough of what they really need in a mentor.
Mhm.
If you knew someone was looking for a mentor in the promotional products industry, what one thing would you tell them to look for?
Oh man, so you're making me go back to my Promo Kitchen mentorship chair days, right?
I
So
am making you go back.
people would always come to that wide-eyed and super excited and have no idea why.
Right.
I just know that, like, I
Yep.
want a piece of what you guys got going on. The energy seems really good, and I feel like just rubbing up against that energy is gonna make me be better.
Yep.
But know the problem you wanna solve. Like, just figure
Good.
out what's the one thing that if you had a successful mentorship relationship at its conclusion,
Mhm.
what would you want to look back and say you were able to have accomplished in that process? Because if you come to the mentorship exercise with that already in mind, it makes the interaction between you and the mentor
Mhm.
so much better. Not only because it gives clarity to the mentor's job, it helps the people selecting your mentor know who they should be
Mhm.
picking from the myriad choices that they may have from the mentor ranks. From a how does the skill set of the mentor align with the problem that you as the mentee are seeking to solve?
Yeah.
And when we were able to get that dialed in better with the mentee,
Mhm.
the satisfaction results that we got in the surveys at the conclusion of that mentorship was significantly higher, not just from the mentor's perspective, but from both,
Yeah. I
because
love that.
everybody knew what it was that was trying to be
Yeah.
accomplished in that process. So we would even send people back and say, go spend some time sharpening it up what it is that you really want. And once
Yep.
you've done that, because you give them the homework, either they buckle down and actually get it done and then come back, or they don't, which is good too.
I love that, and I know you've probably done. I think you've done this. I know I have as a mentor. If people don't do their homework, you get one great one oops, and then
Mhm.
hey, this isn't for you. Wrong time, bad timing. We can revisit, and that's
Yep.
it. I loved your answer. It was better than my answer, so I'm not even going to say what my answer was. Your answer was 100% much better than mine. Okay, I'll share it, but it's not as good. But I do think, again, number one, Roger's right. And I don't say that often. Roger's right. You should have a clear idea of what goal you want to accomplish by the end of that 6 months or however long the mentorship is. And it should have a start and an end. If that's not articulated, it's going to be, just an exercise in silliness and that's, or, just, you're not going to get anywhere really. I think far too often, though, and what I wrote down is far too often, I think mentees want to be paired with someone they feel is like minded with them. And I think that's an enormous mistake. You should try to get paired up with someone who's going to challenge you, someone who has disparate views of things, who maybe has accomplished things in ways you would never have thought that's not the way I work. What a good mentor will do is challenge and task you. We talked about homework. I know I give homework out every time I'm in a mentoring session, every single time. I think you do too, Roger, and I think most mentors do. But it's homework that's intentional because I want them to start thinking. I want the mentees to think differently. Not that my way is the right way, but at least challenge your own thinking. So as you're looking for a mentor in this or any industry, obviously the expertise, they wouldn't be a mentor if they weren't. I didn't have the expertise, but I think it's an important component to make sure they have a different point of view than you have. But more importantly is what you said, Roger. If you don't know what you want to accomplish, if you're just trying to, hang out with someone you think is cool or whatever, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah. You'll
that.
end up with a good friend, but you won't get anywhere.
You will not get anywhere. Roger, I don't have any more questions, man. This has been fun.
Yeah. It'll be great to rewind the tape and cut it up into pieces that I think will tell the story the way that we intended it to
Absolutely.
have been told. And yeah, it's probably going to end up being in a couple of pieces because we're at an hour and 18 minutes at this point, but
Yeah.
it's for me, I'll leave you with this. From a personal conversation that you and I had around episode 100, that I was kind of wondering what the future of this was going to be.
I do.
And while it may not appear so on the surface to people who have been listening to the program for the arc of what we've done, there are major changes afoot in what we're doing and the ways that we're doing it, and even the why behind why I do this. And having you back gives me the opportunity kind of to serve as like, if it's a stream and we're going down the stream every single year, we get a chance to kind of see how the ebb and the flow of the river
Sure.
has changed the landscape as we move down that stream. And she ain't the same, boss, not by
No.
any stretch of the imagination. So I'm happy and super excited to have had the chance for us to do it one more time.
Well, and I can't thank you enough. I am I'm excessively busy. I'm busier than I ever have been in my career. A million different hats, all day long, every day. But when you call or text and say, "Hey, I need your help. Can you spot me a little bit of time?" I'll move heaven and earth to do that for you any day. So I'm honored you called, and I'm honored we had the conversation. It's always good to chat with you, whether it's on a camera and I had to put a different shirt on, or if it's a non-camera discussion where I
With
could be.
a with a bullet old fashioned with Bill's famous smoked ice cubes.
I love the smoked ice cubes.
And we'll just leave it at that, sir.
All right.